I've said it before, and I'll just say it again, because at this point, I'm happy to. We told you so. We told you so, America. We knew exactly what was going to happen. The guy is a liar. He has spent his entire life ripping people off as a private citizen, as president of the United States. Twice, unfortunately, somehow, Donald Trump has lied to you, he's exploited you, he's ripped you off, and he's done it again. And now all the people who allowed him to do so are feeling the fraud. They're finally getting it, they're learning their lesson, and it really hurts. And I want to have sympathy, and I do, but sometimes it's hard to. Especially with a MAGA voter who just realized that hundreds of thousands of people she cares about are going to be affected and deported because she voted for Donald Trump. Got up on stage and hugged him, and now he's deporting her friends and family. We're going to get into all of this. It feels a little good to work through these feelings, so we're going to get into it. But before we do, if I can quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, we are talking about Donald Trump's mass deportation plan and a MAGA voter who just realized that, yeah, he actually meant it when he said it. So before we get into that and just a ridiculous response from this Trump voter, I guess former Trump supporter maybe at this point, I want to hear AOC calling out this immigration plan in a clip right here.
If someone wants to point a finger and accuse someone of shoplifting, they will be rounded up and put into a private detention camp and sent out for deportation without a day in court, without a moment to assert their right and without a moment to assert the privilege of innocent until proven guilty. Without being found guilty of a crime, they will be rounded up. That is what is inside this bill, a fundamental suspension of a core American value. And that is why I rise to oppose it. If you're a dreamer, all someone has to do is point a finger and you will be rounded up. And we have seen moments like these happen before. In the Patriot Act, in the wake of the travesty of 9/11, a fundamental suspension of American civil liberties. That is what we are seeing here today. Mr. Speaker, you may wonder why so many of our friends across the aisle who care so deeply about the rule of law happen to be so desperate to pass this bill, after they are unleashing people who attacked police officers here on this Capitol into roaming our streets, who are publicly saying now they want to get a gun. Suddenly, these folks care about public safety? I don't think so.
We tried to warn you. We didn't just talk about how dangerous it would be. We talked about how it would be affecting your life. And it is, obviously. How is this a shock to anyone? There have been so many stories of so many MAGA voters saying, oh yeah, I have friends, I have family members, I have my spouse, my uncle, my aunt. You know, they're an illegal immigrant. Oh, they are possibly going to be deported under the Trump administration based on what he said. But he doesn't really mean them. He means those bad people. People have bought into this fear-mongering. And now they're learning the lesson. And the best example is a woman who not only supported Trump, not only outwardly supported him, but gave him a hug on stage, said how great he was, and is now feeling the effects of his plan. I want to take a look at this report right here.
Well, there's a lot of news coming out of the White House. One item is President Trump's decision to revoke temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans. A decision met with controversy and a passionate response from the local community. NBC 6's Laura Rodriguez is live from Doral with reaction this evening. Laura.
Well, some Venezuelans say they feel betrayed by the Trump administration, and they want to make it clear the majority of Venezuelans are not criminals.
And good people, I pay my taxes, I follow the rules.
Alvaro Duran is a TPS recipient. He's in the process of obtaining a green card because he's married to a U.S. citizen. However, his mother and siblings are now in limbo.
Go back to Venezuela is not an option.
Not an option for hundreds of thousands of people who say they may face jail time or retaliation for speaking out against the Maduro regime that remains in power. In a TPS termination notice, DHS said in Venezuela there are notable improvements in several areas such as the economy, public health, and crime that allow for these nationals to be safely returned to their home country.
Conditions have not changed, actually have getting worse.
At a press conference in Doral Monday, Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayed, beyond betrayed. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that it was not going to touch the documented people.
I didn't think the suspension of TPS was warranted at this time. Venezuela certainly is not a safer place today than it was when TPS was issued. And so I'm not in favor of everything that the Trump administration has done.
On Friday, Jimenez sent a letter to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem urging her to make sure law-abiding Venezuelans are not unjustly penalized.
We need to focus, and this administration needs to focus on putting out the fire, which is getting rid of the Maduro, the illegitimate Maduro regime.
And one group of Venezuelan TPS holders will see their protections expire this April. Another group will likely see those protections expire come September.
Here's the thing about this. In some ways, it feels a little therapeutic. I don't want to say that. I don't even want to go that far. It's difficult to balance the, I voted for Kamala Harris because I didn't want to see family separation. I voted for Kamala Harris because I understand America is a nation built by immigrants. I don't want to see Donald Trump's police state rip people out of their schools, their churches, their communities, and destroy important industries that are really built on the backs of immigrants. I don't want to see that happen. But for MAGA to realize we were right, yeah, I'll admit, feels a little bit good. I don't love it. Would I have much preferred Kamala Harris to be president right now and not to see the MAGA tears, or to see the MAGA tears at her becoming president? Yes. Obviously, 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. The only reason I'm enjoying this is because hopefully it is a lesson learned. Hopefully you realize that this guy was always a fraud and he's surrounded by frauds. That is what the Republican Party is. So if it can be a lesson, I don't want people to have to learn this type of a lesson. Was January 6th not enough? Was COVID not enough? Was the crashing of our economy not enough? Was the racism, the sexism, the vile comments, was that not enough? Did we not learn enough of a lesson? We have to do this? I don't know. It seems like people in the Trump cult live in an alternate reality, in a different universe, Earth 2, as our friends at MSNBC like to say. And it was just exactly that dynamic that Jasmine Crockett so perfectly called out in a clip I want to check out right here.
Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called Rhetoric versus Reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than U.S. citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than U.S.-born citizen rate, and this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So, interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
You really have to be living in a completely different world to trust this guy. And it is one of the big fears I have right now. Again, as someone who does not want to see people's lives be ruined by Donald Trump so they learn a lesson, I don't want that to happen. But this offer him and Elon have made, unlawful or not, which it is unlawful, of this mass exodus. Resign if you want, we'll pay your salary, we'll give you a severance, terrifies me. How many people are going to quit their jobs? How many people are going to resign from their positions thinking, all right, 7-8 months off. I'll just kick it. Great. I don't have to do my job. Take that package, that severance package, only for Donald Trump to pull the rug out from under them. They not have a next step, not have a next plan, not have a job lined up. Say, whoa. I'm not getting paid for these months. It's not happening. Most Americans, a majority of the country, does not have an extra $500 laying around for an emergency, which is awful. That is what we should be focused on. That is what our Congress should be focused on instead of Donald Trump attacking trans kids who just want to play sports with their friends, or renaming the Gulf of Mexico, starting a stupid trade war. That's what we should be focused on, that most Americans don't have $500 laying around for an emergency. That is terrible. I am worried that those people are going to be scammed by Donald Trump. How many people has he refused to pay who did work for him during his time as a private citizen? Thousands, tens of thousands? I do not want to see that happen again. This is, again, alternate reality that Donald Trump creates for so many people that is so scary. And we got to call it out. We certainly are going to every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.